Rabbi Sai, so this week we're not on the same page. We're not reading the same parsha. Over here it's Parshas Behaloscha. In Chutz La'aretz it's Parshas Naso, but it's one Torah, and we'll try to say something that's shaykh to both of these parshas. You know, in Parshas Naso there's a pasuk, Ulivnei kahos loy nosan, ki avodas hakodesh aleim bakosef yiso. This is referring to the Bokar and the Agolos, the Bnei Gershon that carried the Riyos HaMishkan and the Kalei HaChotzer, got 2 Agolos and 4 Bokar. The Bnei Merari that carried the Kroshim and the Amudim and the Amudi HaChotzer, things that are much heavier, they got 4 Agolos and Shmoina Bokar. But the Bnei Kahos that carried the Oren and the Menorah and the Mizbechos, they didn't get Bokar v'Agolos B'chlal. Ulivnei Kahos loy nosan. Ki avodas hakodesh aleim bakosef yiso. They carried it on their shoulders and not on Agolos. No, it's the pasuk is very straightforward and clear. There's nothing shver. So it's interesting that the Gemara in Arochin, Daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph, learns from this pasuk something else. That's Negeh L'Doros, something that became a centerpiece in the Avodas HaMikdash. The Gemara, there's a sugya about Minayin Le'ikar Shira Min HaTorah. Where do we know that the Leviim said Shira in the Beis HaMikdash? So the Gemara says, V'tana Maisi Lo Meihache. The Tana learned it from here. Ulivnei Kahos Loy Nosan. Ki avodas hakodesh alehem bakosef yiso. Mimashma shenemar bakosef eini yoidei asher yiso. If the pasuk is talking about the shoulders, obviously on the shoulders you carry. Why did the pasuk have to say bakosef yiso? Shteit shem bakosef eini yoidei asher yiso. Matam eloma yiso ein yiso elo loshon shira. The pasuk says in Tehillim, Su'u Zimra, Usnu Soif. So I mean, the pasuk of Su'u Zimra, and the simple meaning is raise your voice in song. It's a lashon of Su'u, milashon of raising up. But the Gemara is teaching Su'u Zimra in the sense of carrying, and therefore saying that when it says over here Yisou, Bakosef Yisou, it's referring to Shiras Halavim. It's interesting that in English we say to carry a tune. It's like Su'u Zimra. The Chazal are teaching Su'u Zimra is carry the Zimra, but maybe we can ask, I mean, why would the Torah choose to allude to the Indian of Shira in the context of this pasuk, which is talking about the carrying of the Klei HaMikdash on the Leviim's shoulders? I mean, there's no connection between the two. So maybe we can suggest that the challenge is that when one is carrying a burden on his shoulders, he should nevertheless sing. In other words, the shir v'shevach l'chei ha'olamim needs to take place even when your back is breaking. Bakosef yisou in the simple sense, and the yisou in the sense of su'u zimra go together. And the test of the shira is that we sing not only when everything is going the way we want, not only when things are easy, but even bakosef yisou, ein yisou elo loshoin shira. You know, the Gemara says in Sanhedrin, Daf Tzadik Beis, that Nebuchadnezzar hoyoshor la'Kadosh Baruch Hu shiros v'sishbachos. We don't understand the Rishoyim of then. Avada, we don't understand the tzaddikim of them, but the Gemara says that Nebuchadnezzar, he sang shiros, songs and praises to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Ubikesh leganos Kol Sefer Tehillim. In other words, his shir v'shevach was so beautiful that it was bikish leganis. I mean, he looked down at, he made David's shira look like nothing compared to his bikish leganis. Shiros kol shiros v'shevach shama David b'sefer Tehillim. Ad sheba malach v'sotra el piva. Malach came and slapped him on his mouth. So if he really could, if he really was able to say such beautiful shiras with hishbachis, so why did the malach come and slap him on the face? It doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem right. So the Kotzker Rebbe said that Nebuchadnezzar was being shown that the greatness of the shiros v'hishbachos of David is in the fact that he sang even when bo malach v'sotroi al piv. David HaMelech sang even when he was slapped in the face. In other words, David HaMelech sang when he was running away from Shaul. He sang bevorchoi mipnei Avshalom benoi. In all those difficult situations, that's when he sang. So that was the tshuva to Nebuchadnezzar. I mean, you think you can sing, but you're singing when everything is good. Let's see if you can sing like David HaMelech even when things are difficult. So that's really the avodah of Bakosef Yiso, Ein Yiso Ela Loshen Zimra. That even when one is in a state of Bakosef, nevertheless he sings. This is in Parshas Naso, but like every coin, there are two sides. Every coin has two sides, and the other side of this coin is expressed in Parshas Behaloscha, as we shall see. You know, in Parshas Behaloscha, in Kapitel Yud, Pasuk Tes and Yud, it says, "V'chisavoyu milchama ba'arsechem, al hatzar hatzoyrer eschem." Yeah, it's a time of war. V'harei oisem b'chatzoytzeros. V'niskartem l'fnei Hashem Elokeichem v'noishatem me'oivechem. So the din of blowing chatzoytzeros b'shas milchama, and that brings about niskartem l'fnei Hashem Elokeichem v'noishatem me'oivechem. The next pasuk says, "U'v'yom simchaschem u'b'moyadeichem u'b'roshei chodshechem u'skartem b'chatzoytzeros al oiloiseichem v'al zivchei shalmeichem v'hoyu lochem l'zikorim l'fnei Hashem Elokeichem ani Hashem Elokeichem." So now the first pasuk is talking about a trua when we're in a state of war, in a matzav of sakana. And from this pasuk we learn, as the Rambam says in the beginning of Hilchos Tainiyos, that it's a mitzvah asayim in HaTorah, liz oik v'lohoria b'chatzoytzeros al kol tzoro sheba al hatzibur, shenemar al hatzar hatzoyer eschem v'hari oisem b'chatzoytzeros. This is not only war, but koloima kol davar sheyitze lochem higoyim batzoyres dever v'arbe. So this is a trua, which is a trua of tefillah and bakosha. It comes from a place of sakana and worry. But the pasuk right after is talking about a tia of simcha. Ubiyom simchaschem, ubemoyadeichem, uberoshei chodshechem, uskatem b'chatzoytzeros. Here we don't use the word trua, we use the word tkiya. Aloy loiseichem val zivchei shalmeichem. So this is these are tkiyas that come in a matzav of simcha, b'yom simchaschem, when we're in a state of hisalus hanefesh. So it's interesting that the Torah places these two psukim next to each other. Like, you should do this, and you should do this. These are two totally different things, but it's not only that the two psukim come one after the other, but if you look in the Rambam, in the Sefer HaMitzvahs, Mitzvahs Asay Nun Tes, the Rambam says, Behaloscha, Hishet Tzivonu, Litkoya b'chatzoytzeros b'migdosh, im hakroves hakorben mikarbonei hamoyadois v'chulei, v'chein anachnu mitzuvim l'skoya b'chatzoytzeros b'iitois hatzoyrech v'hatzoros, kishenizak l'fnei Hashem Yisrael. So the Rambam counts as one mitzvah in the minyan mitzvahs. Both these things, in other words, the truah, which is a truah of tefillah, as the Rambam clearly defines it, Yishenizak lifnei Hashem, and the tkiyah, which is the tkiyah of simcha, b'shas ta'akravas hakabonis, and it's one mitzvah. Now the Magid Mishnah already says in the beginning of Hilchos Tiny is v'ra'isi l'Rabbeinu b'seifa mitzvah shaloi shemona truazu utkiyah sheb'shas hakarbonis u'be'eis hatzoros bein b'mikdosh bein b'gvulin mitzvah achas. So he says v'toma ani loma. So why did the Rambam make it into one mitzvah? Harei shnei psukim hein b'chosav. These are two separate psukim. V'nireh shedaitoi zal שהמצווה היא אחס כלוליס, לתקויה בחצויצרויס במקדש באיס הקורבנס, ובאיס הצורס בין במקדש בין בגבולין. ואין רואי למנוי סום שתי מצווס, ואוי צורחיון. Well, the va'oi tzarachion is about the only thing we understand in this Magid Mishnah. Because what did he say? I mean, he asked a very good kasha. And the Teres, I mean, it doesn't seem to add up. I mean, the Rambam holds that it's one mitzvah, but how is it one mitzvah? First of all, why is it one mitzvah? And I'm saying, why is it one mitzvah? What's the shaykhis between the tkiyas of Shas Karbonis and the truest of Shas Mulchama? The truest of Shas Mulchama, truest of Tefillah. The tkiyas of Karbonis is tkiyas of Simcha. I mean, it's two psukim. Why is it one mitzvah? So, in the Cheskuni, on the pasuk, he says like this: V'chisavoyu Mulchama al Hatzar. V'goyme v'niskartem lifnei Hashem Elokeichem v'hoylech u'mefaresh heich yiyu nizkorim. How will they be remembered lifnei Hashem Elokeichem? Sheharei u'v'yom simchaschem dahainu b'moyadeichem u'skartem Elokeichem u'kshetisku v'sariu l'molchama yizkor lochem schus hakorbanis v'neshatim. Okay, so now we understand that the two psukim come together because really the second pasuk is explaining the first pasuk. That's what the Cheskuni is saying, meaning that you're going to be Meriah b'chatzoytzreis b'shas Mulchama, and that's going to bring about that you should be remembered l'fnei Hashem Elokeichem. But how? Because b'yom simchaschem u'b'moyadeichem, you're going to be blowing chatzoytzreis on your korbanos. So Mamela, when you're going to be blowing the chatzoytzreis b'shas Mulchama, it will be maskir the schus of the karbonis. It will be maskir the schus of the karbonis and Mamela v'nei shatim. So Lefi Zeh Avada versteht man ganz gut that it's one mitzvah. It's one mitzvah because the tkiyas of the Mulchama are really not something that stand on their own. The tkiyas of the Mulchama, the real meaning is that the tkiyas of the Mulchama are a reminder of the tkiyas of the Mikdash. And the tkiyas of the Mikdash, once they are remembered, we will be remembered l'toiva. So these two mitzvahs are really two parts of one thing. The yisoid of the Pirush HaCheskuni is in the Sifri. In the Sifri it says, V'hariyoisem b'chatzoitzreis. Rabbi Akiva Omer, V'chi chatzoitzreis maskirois, v'haloi domim maskirim. Chatzoitzreis bring our zikoron l'fnei Hashem Elokeichem. Damim are maskirin. Elo, damim is blood. Elo shem yichoylim lo'ariya v'lo heiriu. That if we could be Meriah and we weren't Meriah, mala aleim akosov keilu lo yhuzkiru l'fnei hamok. Very difficult sifri. When it says v'haloi domim maskirim, what does that mean? So the Mogen Avram in his commentary Zayis Ranon on the Yalkut Shimoni says mei hakorbonis mechaprim. I mean, domim maskirim means that the blood of korbonis are mechaprim. Inami pirish domim shetmei hatainis. Hainu miut chelbam v'domam betainis maskirim l'fnei hamokim. But I think that Rabbi Akiva's kasha, according to the first shot, is what the Cheskuni says, that really what brings our zikaron l'fnei Hashem Elokeichem is the domim of korbanos. So why does it say over here that chatzoitzreis are maskirim? It's the korbanos that are always maskirim. So the answer is that the blowing of the Chatzotzros b'Shas Milchama will be mazkir the Chatzotzros of Shas Karbonis, and that's mazkir the Karbonis. That's what the Cheskuni is saying, and that's what's mavur over here in the Sifri. Even more so, it's mavur in the Ibn Ezra in a Sefer Yesoid Moira in the Shara Shmini, and it's quoted in the Rav Perlor's Sefer on the Smag. And the Lashon of the Ibn Ezra is as follows: V'tziva laharia b'chatzotzros al ha'olos, lios lezikaron b'hariyom b'milchama. So the Ibn Ezra is saying an unbelievable thing. He's saying that the whole mitzvah that we have to blow with the chatzotzros b'shas the karbonis is only in order that when we will blow with the chatzotzros b'shas milchama, it will be a reminder of the karbonis. The whole blowing of shas karbonis. This is what he says: V'tziva laharia b'chatzotzros al ha'olos liyos lizikaron b'hariyam b'milchama. So it's not just that the blowing b'shas milchama, their inyan is to be matzke the karbonis. The ikir tkiya by the karbonis is kedei that the truest of shas milchama should be able to be matzke the karbonis, which is only possible if they'll be truest b'shas karbonis also. And lefizeh, it's clear that these are both chalokim of one mitzvah. There are no two mitzvahs over here. Rabbi Akiva said that in spite of the fact that domim are maskirim, nevertheless, im yicholim loharia v'loy heiriu mala aleim akosov ki'ilu lo yuzkiru lefnei hamokim. What does that mean? I mean, it means that the huzkiru lefnei hamokim that takes place b'shas the domim maskirim really has the capacity to be maskiros even beyond the place and time of the karbonis. But that's only in as much and as long as we remain connected with that avodah. But if when we go to war, we're in a different state of mind, and we're in a different mode, and we're disconnected from the avodas hamikdash, then it's keilu lo yuzkaru lefnei hamokim. It's as if it never happened, as if our avodas hakarbonis never happened. This is what he's saying. Im yecholim laharia v'loy heiriu mala aleim akosov ki'ilu lo yuzkaru lefnei hamokim. So in order to keep that alive, in order to keep the zakar of the karbonis alive, we have to remain connected. And how do we remain connected with the avodas hakarbonis? By reminding ourselves of the avodas hakarbonis, which happens through the truest of shas milchama, which are a reminder of the truest of shas karbonis, and memela we can have the kapara of karbonis and the zikaron of karbonis b'shas the milchama. But l'chara, when we're in a state of milchama ba'artzechem al hatzar hatzorer, so we're in a state of a gevaldige his oirus tshuva. I mean, we're in a matzav of fear, in a matzav of danger, and like Rashi brings on the pasuk uparoi hikriv, jehikriv liban shel Yisrael avim sheb'shamayim. The fear of Paroi was mekarev liban shel Yisrael avim sheb'shamayim. Yeah. So why would we need in that matzav to remind ourselves? Kaviyachul, we say it in the lashon of reminding the Rebbeinu Shalom, the schos of the chatzotzros of shas karbonis of biyom simchaschem u'b'moyadechem. Why isn't it enough to have a hariyosim b'chatzotzros, which is a za'aka, which is a tefillah, mitoiches oiris tshuva, that the davar sheyitzer lochem brings us to that matzav of tefillah and za'aka and tkiyah b'chatzoy and trua b'chatzotzros? Why do we need to now connect with the b'yom simchaschem? So it would seem that the ikir chashivas of avodas Hashem is when it takes place in good times, not in bad times. In other words, the schus of the hakravas hachelev v'dam b'yom simchaschem. That's a much greater thing than the wanting to connect with the Rebbeinu Shalom and the Shas Tzara. And therefore, we need in the Shas Tzara to bring back the memory of our Avodas Hashem b'Shas Simcha. Because b'Shas Tzara, it's not a kunst to want to connect with the Rebbeinu Shalom. Yeah, it's interesting that really this idea is mefurish. I just want to bring a film. 1 second. See, this Ibn Ezra in the Yesod Moira explains, and Ibn Ezra and Tillim, in a kapitel that we say every day, almost every day, it says, Lamanatzeach Mizmor LeDavid, Yancho Hashem b'yoyim tzara, Yisagev Hashem Elokei Yaakov, Yishlach Ezrecha Mikodesh, Umitzion Yisadeka. He will send your help Mikodesh, and from Tzion he will be soyed you. Yizkor kol min choisecha, v'oiloscha yidashne sela. What's the meaning of these psukim? So this is really beyond sorrow. The Ibn Ezra says is b'shas milcham. Now it says Yizkor. Zog the Ibn Ezra Pirish Lama Ya'azercha. Why will Hashem help you in the shas milchama? Ki Yizkor kol min choisecha. V'zeu hakosov b'Torah v'hara'osem b'chatzotzros v'nizkartem v'noishatem. You look at this Ibn Ezra, you understand what is he saying? Ki Yizkor kol min choisecha, and this is what it says. V'hara'osem b'chatzotzros v'nizkartem v'noishatem. The pshat is that, like he said in the Yesod Moira, that the v'hara'osem b'chatzotzros v'nizkartem v'noishatem means that these chatzotzros of Shas Milchama will serve as a reminder of the chatzotzros of Shas Parbanis. And Memela, it's Yishlach Ezrecha Mikodesh. Lama Ya'azercha ki Yizkor kol min choisecha v'zeu ha'kosim b'Torah v'hara'osem b'chatzotzros v'nizkartem v'noishatem. The pasuk says in Vayigash, Vayeser Yosef Merkavtoi, Vayal Likras Yisrael Oviv Goshna, Vayera Elov, Vayipol al Tzavora, Vayevkal Tzavora Void, Vayoma Yisrael al Yosef, Amuso Hapam, Achrei Ra'oisi Es Ponecha Ki Oit Chochai. So what's the connection of these two psukim? He embraces him, and now he says, I'll die now. So, Chazal say that Yaakov Avinu didn't loinof al tzavre Yosef, loino shokoi, joyikor Shema. Why was he now learning Shema? That Kriyas Shema is the Indian of Mesiras Nefesh. V'aftas Hashem Elokecha b'chol avavcha afilu unoitles nafshecha. So b'chol avavcha b'chol nafshecha. Now, during all the years that Yosef was missing, Vayisabel al benoi, Vayimoin lehisnachim, Yaakov Avinu was living with a feeling of ki ereid el beni ovel sha'oila. So he had no life b'chlal. So somebody that has no life, it's no chiddush, it's no revusa that is willing to give up his life. Yeah, Mesiras Nefesh is not a chiddush when you have no nefesh b'chlal. So Kol Zman, he was living with a feeling of ki ereid el beni ovel sha'oila. So he couldn't really be mekayim the mitzvah's Kriyas Shema, because the mitzvah's Kriyas Shema is to express your willingness to give up your life for the Rebbeinu Shalom. If you have no life, you can't give it up. But now, when he saw Yosef, that he's still alive, and the Shekhinah came back mitech simcha, that enabled him to give his life to the Rebbeinu Shalom. So he's saying, Musa hapam, now I can die for the Rebbeinu Shalom. Now I can be Moisei Nefesh. Achrei ra'oisi panecha ki oitcha choy. So now I got my life back. Now that I got my life back, I can be a Musa hapam. And that's the maila of the avoida of biyoim simchaschem ubemoyadechem uberoshe chodshechem over the avoida of hatzar hatzor. And that's why we need to remind ourselves and remind the Rebbeinu Shalom, so to speak, when we're doing the avodah in a state of hatzar hatzor eschem, to bring back the memory of the avodah mitech simcha. So you see, on one hand, we say, "Bakos if you so," that it's only somebody that could be ein yiso ela loshen shira when his back is breaking, that qualifies his shira. Nebuchadnezzar, that bo malach v'sotri al piv and he can't sing, his shiras v'sishbachas are worthless. But when our shira is qualified, the iker maila of shira is be'emes that we connect not only in difficult times, but that b'yom simchas chol. You know, some people they avada, they connect with the Rebbeinu Shalom. I mean, when do people say it's bashert? When something really goes wrong, they say, "What could you do? It's bashert." When something goes right, I mean, they don't say it's bashert. Listen, it's either I'm so smart, either I'm so lucky, but the Rebbeinu Shalom falls out of the equation. So the b'yom simchas chol the avoide is avada, a much bigger avoida. So I wish you all good Shabbos and everything good.